You can see from behind me, this is a recreation of the tent where Charlie Kirk lost his life.
Hi, I'm Marie-Ève. I'm a widow. I've been widowed for 8.5 years now. This is my ninth Christmas. And I was 32 when my husband died of cancer. I have been known for having views that are very different than other people who don't believe in God. I do believe that God brings us, takes things away from our lives to bring us better. And I included my husband, not because he was not good enough. And I had to be really honest with myself because I do believe everything happens for a reason. And to stay alive, I found reasons. And then I found the law of attraction. I found God. I found the universe. Not the religious Bible God. God like as the universe. Okay, so as an energy. And that everything that's taken away is not a vibrational match to who you are. And so having done the inner work on myself and being super fully authentic and honest with how I felt in my marriage, I was a very loyal. I honored my husband to the end. When he passed away, I had a baby who was 6 months old and another one who was 2.5 years old. Now they're 9 and 10, and they're beautiful little girls who are super smart. And people here in Quebec didn't like that I said God killed my husband to bring me better. The truth is, I made my life better because when I was honest with myself, I said there are things in my marriage that was not working out for me, but I tolerated stuff. I mean, it's life. I chose my husband because he was amazing. And he loved me and I loved him. But also I discovered later on my healing journey that I do have codependency. I did have codependency. And so there was stuff that I tolerated, a problem with his family. I didn't speak up, or I spoke to him and he didn't speak up for us, which I internalized a lot of anger for a lot of stuff. He was not romantic and I wanted a romantic man, but I'm like, well, this is life. I chose my man, so nothing to see here. And I've been criticized as the widow who had a big inheritance and who burned through his money, which was my money because that money that I got $750,000 in inheritance, and in 6.5 years I didn't have any more. I was a stay-at-home mom and I used that money to survive with my kids. I used it to go and became a certified mindset and self-love life coach. I'm certified in neurosciences. I'm also working with the law of attraction, and my specialty is working with limiting belief, fears, and anything that's limiting you and into creating the reality you desire. This being said, when I saw this video about the tent being recreated and the sister being insulted and stuff, she has the right to her own grief. I mean, it's still a brother. She has the right to feel offended. That's her emotion, that's her trauma, that's her wounds. Erica has the right to shine. She's using, for the first year, people would not have been able to say that I lost my husband unless I didn't say anything. I said it because the first year, my life was pretty damn good. My husband, who had cancer, said, I don't have a choice, I have cancer. I don't have a choice, I might die. But I do have a choice on my attitude, and I choose to be happy. And so when he passed away, I had the same attitude. I don't have control, he's dead. I don't have control, I'm a widow, but I have control on my attitude, and I choose to be happy. Which I made that choice consciously every day, okay? And so she was hiding behind her husband. She was supporting her husband. He was the star. And God said, now you're the star. And so I do not judge her at all in her grieving journey. I'm celebrating her. There's stuff that I don't know about the story, and I'm not into conspiracy theory and stuff like that. Not to that point. I see a woman who I know I cannot imagine. My husband had cancer. I had 14 months to grieve him before he died. And I was able to say goodbye. I cannot imagine my husband being shot like that. And the shock. And I've learned with neurosciences that your brain will protect you from feeling emotions until it feels safe within yourself, okay? And so those who feel entitled to seeing her cry and being the widow, she's got a role. She's got a role, and she most likely grieve at home. I've cried for years. I've emptied hot water tank days after days after days. I had depression. My worst year was like year 4. And that's when I got my depression. First year was fine. I had money. I was able to live. I didn't have financial stress. And it was my money, by the way, for those who think people are burning through their husband's inheritance. That money got opened up when he died. That was not his money. And the properties I had before, we built those houses. We purchased them together. So I was 50% on them. And it was already mine. I just got the full name instead of just 50, right? So I've been blasted on that. And that tent, now, people, like, they say, oh, they recreated a tent where he got assassinated. That's one perspective. When I set tent as honoring him as the guy who was going around and transforming lives. I didn't know him before this whole shooting thing. And do I agree with everything he said? No, because I heard some stuff. And I'm like, no, but there's stuff that I do agree. That a man should be a provider. Yes, I do believe this. But there's a lot of stuff that now people have the perspective. This is the tent that he got murdered, like a tent they're recreating the murder scene. No, that is the perspective that keeps people in pain, in struggle, in like, this is horrible, in victimhood. And they are the one diminishing his impact because now they only see Charlie Kirk as the guy who got assassinated instead as of the guy who transformed people's life, who inspired people into taking action and doing better in life. That tent, when people go and take pictures and videos and selfies, is not because he died in it, it's because he was in it. This tent is representing what he was standing for. And the only reason I can see that is because I've done the healing journey of being able to change my perspective because in life, everything is neutral. But now they want to make Erica Kirk so bad, so like the villain, because they have no hearts. They're thinking she should grieve a certain way. And because she doesn't grieve that way, they're making her the bad guy instead of acknowledging that they're the bad guy for judging her for what she's doing. She's deciding to not be a victim of circumstances and to still shine. She's a definition of what grief can be if you choose so. And monetizing the death of your husband. He wanted to provide for his wife. He was providing for his wife out of his living. And he's now providing for his wife and his kids out of his death. My husband, he gave me permission. He said, if you can monetize my debt, please do so. And I was like, oh no, I won't do it. Like, this is not okay for me. But he gave me fucking permission for it. You don't know the kind of discussion they had behind the doors. And a husband who loves his wife would want to see his wife thrive. He would want to see his wife happy. He would want to see his wife being a fucking star because she was the star in his life. And so if she installed a tent to honor her husband, the only reason you guys don't see that she's honoring him and that you think she's disrespecting him is because you are stuck in your fucking victimhood, in your mindset, in your trauma, not seeing the truth of the divinity of the whole thing. And I'm not into Jesus and religion. I do talk about God, but it's an energy. Not as like there's one person, right? God is in everything. God provides abundance. And abundance comes however. And the more you follow your dreams, having your husband being departed, and technically his soul still lives on, so he's not dead, his body is. He might be the one guiding her to do these things, to honor himself. And she's been a faithful wife. When we do our vows, it's still dead do us part. After that, when you discover, man, he's not there anymore. My husband said, I said, what do you want to do with your body? And he said, I don't know, I'm fucking dead. What do you want to do with my body? I'm like, do you want to be incinerated, like cremated, or buried? He's like, I don't give a shit. I don't have feelings anymore when I'm dead. I won't care. What you will do, what you need to do for your own healing. You're the one stuck with the grief. You're the one stuck with having to make sense of all this shit and having everything on your shoulder. Do what you want. And if for her, it's making fucking shows happening, she's finally honoring herself. You don't know, maybe she's been wanting all these years to be seen and to shine. But as having your husband being the leader, he's the one who's doing it. So you don't know her. I don't know her, I can't judge her, but I for sure won't judge her in saying that she's a villain. Until it is proven that she's part of killing her husband, therefore she's not the villain. And because she shines and she's not grieving how you think grief should look like, or because she's not grieving how the book looks like, she's just at the beginning of grief. Year 9 is my worst Christmas so far. Year 9. Not year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Year fucking 9 is my worst Christmas emotionally. Okay, so give her a break and deal with your own powerlessness, and emotions.